kids, but we also would have all loved a new car and some new clothes and all sorts of other new things too, but that's just not the reality. So the voters have spoken loud and clear, and no new taxes, at least 3 times over. So we do really have to make sure we're frugal and prudent with our decisions, and closing that building will help save a lot of money. So an occasional furlough day, we would have to look into that. That would be another avenue, as well as a really close fine-tooth comb with curriculum and programs at this time. I would like to add, however, economics. There's not been economics taught in the high school in at least 3 years, and that, how on earth are we going to have children growing up in this economy? We keep hearing this economy if they don't understand what economy and economics are. So
it's really hard to pick 3 top things you'd want to cut. I think it's more of a situation where you want to think outside the box. And one example would be the online high school that just got cut. We were spending upwards of $100,000 a year on that, when it's entirely possible we could partner with another school district. You're both paying, say, $50,000, so you've got the same thing for half the price. And there's a lot of those opportunities, whether it's sharing instructors, some kind of programs, and there's all kinds of options out there. So I hate to say that it's what cuts I like, but we just need to think outside the box a little bit more. That's the big thing.
To decide what 3 cuts would be extremely difficult, because we don't know exactly what the school district is going to do tomorrow, and so we won't know what we have to cut next year. I am on the budget committee, and I'm one of them that recommended that we close the middle school. It seems like the most fiscally responsible thing to do. The thing that we need to keep in mind is the kids won't get an education if they're not in class and they don't have teachers, so we need to figure out how to keep them in class the most days that we can and have the most teachers available at the appropriate ratios. And I'm sure Ralph's got a lot of things to say.
I'm going to try to behave myself. The truth of them, that's hard. The truth of the matter is that, as far as I'm concerned, the bottom line is saving as many teachers as we possibly can to keep the class sizes down as much as we can. We have used, over the last 50, 60, 70 years, we have used the same problem-solving method every year whenever the budget gets low. And that is, cut your electives, get rid of your teachers and your programs, stick to just the basics. Then we turn around when we get some money back, and we end up bringing it all back. Why? Because we know it's valuable, because we know we want well-rounded students. So consequently, what have we done? We've taken dedicated teachers, we have dropped them, sent them somewhere else. It takes anywhere from 3 to 5 years after we bring new ones in to get programs back going again. So frankly, as far as I'm concerned, if we had have closed the middle school, we would have saved enough money so that we would not have had to give pink slips to half a dozen or so teachers. It's that simple. And that's not the only thing that we can do. Do I like the idea of closing a middle school? No, I do not. But also there's a 4-day week option. There's also cutting some days, minimal number of days. We are going to have to think outside the box, try to keep as many programs and as many teachers as we possibly can to make sure that these kids learn. And we're going to have to look at the efficiency of our programs as well. I'm also a certified reading teacher. Have not been happy with where our school district is with reading right now. And that's not the only area. We've got to do some things differently.
Right, Teresa.
I'm also a member of the school board budget committee, and I also am in favor of closing the middle school for many of the same reasons that my fellow candidates down here have mentioned. We need to save teachers' jobs, not a physical building. Rick Gill, who's in charge of the finances, keeps telling us in meetings that we've got declining enrollments. If we've got declining enrollments, then maybe we don't have all that many students to be filling up all of these schools, and maybe consolidation is where we need to go. I don't see where families have different houses because they've got different children in different age groups. If families can get together, then why can't 7th and 8th graders get along with kids in high school? Granted, you might need different passing or different lunches. You don't want them mixing completely, but I think that they're capable and flexible enough to be in the same location. The other program that I was appalled to hear about, it was that there was 18 students in a $100,000 a year program. We get $5,000 a student. It cost us more to run that online school than we were bringing in. That doesn't make any sense at all to me, especially when there's a program here in Oregon. I don't remember, I think it's down south, Jackson County, has an online school that's available to all the students. The other thing that I heard about is that there is a halftime tag teacher who's supposed to administer this tag program across all of the schools. One parent told me that the only thing her tag student had been offered is a field trip. We need to look at those programs to see which ones make sense. Those are the kinds of things I would look at and cut.
Thank you. Here, our third question, we'll start with Marty. And the question is, just from the audience, how flexible are you in the structure of grades in the schools, from elementary through middle through high school?
In the structure of grades, meaning the grade level, classrooms, I am flexible. I am very flexible. I don't think does any child a good service to classify them by age group. I've been, when my children were all public school, I've been the mom that's in the classroom, and there's this group of kids that's functioning great with what the task is at hand, and then there's this group of kids that's lost, and this group would be rather outside tearing down a play structure or something. Kids are different. They develop differently. Just because you're 8 doesn't mean you need to learn about penguins. Let's let children progress as quickly as they can and not stop them just because of their age. So flexible, yes, I'm very flexible with age levels and grade levels.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty flexible as well. I mean, there's plenty of models out there that are successful that you can copy. And you definitely don't want to hold students back if they're progressing. So if there's something that works and we know it works and it's possible to implement it, why wouldn't you be flexible?
We've got teachers and leadership to run the program and design the program. We can make it work, then I think we ought to do it.
I took off to my wife and a close friend decided that I needed to go to the beach to relax a little bit and let off steam, which quite a buildup actually from last week. But while I was down there, I went to Taft High School in Lincoln City, or well, actually in Taft. The two towns are so close together. But they're 7 through 12. They're about 800. And I talked to students, I talked to staff, I talked to the administration, and I watched. And you know what was really interesting? One of the conversations that I had was with a couple of 7th grade students, and they were talking with one of their teachers. And that teacher, as a matter of fact, teaches not only middle school level, but also teaches 2 high school classes. And those 2 7th graders were taking a high school language arts class. And they were very comfortable with it. Talked to a couple of other students that they do one big theater production each year. And several of those kids were in the production. And what I found out was the upperclassmen had kind of taken them under their wings and were working with them. So I said, so you mean you don't have some of these older boys going after the young girls? And they laughed and they said, no. What they do have once in a while, which they put a real stop to very quick, is maybe a 7th or 8th grade girl trolling the halls trying to connect with an older boy. And they say, that doesn't work. And they said, really? When they moved the middle school kids to the high school, they had far fewer incidents of problems than they do now. Or far more then than they do now. Actually, when they went to the high school, they reduced a lot of the problems that they had with the students. There are some things that they're still working on. They've been doing this now for 4 or 5 years. But you know, the truth of the matter is, when you look outside the box, you've got to look at what kids can do and give them a chance to do those things. It's that simple.
Teresa?
Okay. If you teach to average, then that's all you're ever going to get. You're not going to get children who exceed. You're going to have some that fall down below, but they'll just keep falling down below because you got to teach to average. I think our children need to excel at the things that they're good at. If you're good at math, then go for math. If you're a second grader and you can do 3rd and 4th grade math, then you should be given that opportunity. But if your reading skills aren't where they need to be, then you need to get the extra help. So I think we need to look at flexibility and kind of what Marty said, let them learn how they need to learn.
I'm in total agreement with everyone here about the flexibility of education, that every student has their own level of learning skills. And if you have a chance to just go K through 8, then you have students that are with their teachers and they're established for a longer period of time, and they don't have to go through that achievement transition. Girls have a tendency to lose their self-esteem, and the boys have problems, you know, trying to prove themselves as young men when they're going into this middle school. It's much better if they stay from the kindergarten through the 8th grade and then go into the high school setting because they're a little more mature. They've already had the help of their moms and their dads and their school teachers that they've developed a great relationship with, and they just transition much better. This is in a study back in 1998. Dr. I can't even pronounce his name. But anyway, I'm getting all this information from this. And also they had less student discipline problems when they were doing K through 8. And there was no overcrowding because what they were doing is they're funneling kids from the kindergarten into the junior high school, so you get overcrowding in the junior high. Of course, with our declining population right now, I don't think that's a problem. So definitely K through 8, and also take the time, the extra time, to make sure that those younger students learn their basic foundation before they move on to the next level of school. Because when you lose that foundation, then you're shoved into the next grade, you're going to lose interest because you can't follow what's going on in the class. And those are the students that we lose. They're the ones that are dropping out.